Across the globe, a silent, relentless force is reshaping lives, economies, and futures. It operates without fanfare, yet its impact is profound and deeply personal. We speak of the continuous, almost imperceptible climb of prices, a phenomenon we collectively term inflation. This relentless economic pressure extends far beyond mere financial metrics. It subtly, yet powerfully, alters human behaviors, reshapes daily decisions, and exerts a significant, often overlooked toll on mental well-being. Today, we delve into these profound, yet seldom discussed psychological consequences of rising prices. Inflation is frequently discussed in abstract terms, percentages, indices, and macroeconomic theories. Yet for countless individuals, it is not an abstract concept, but a tangible, daily lived experience. It manifests not in charts, but in the grocery cart, at the fuel pump, and on the utility bill. The persistent struggle to afford basic necessities forces individuals into increasingly difficult choices. These decisions are not merely economic. They chip away at a fundamental human need, the sense of security. With each difficult choice, a feeling of control over one's own life subtly diminishes. This constant, grinding pressure of managing finances in a landscape of ever-increasing costs inevitably creates chronic stress. The mind remains in a perpetual state of vigilance, a low-level hum of anxiety that rarely dissipates. It is an exhausting mental burden. The resulting psychological conditions are often profound yet invisible. Pervasive anxiety, depressive symptoms, and an overwhelming feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed. These invisible costs, rarely quantified in economic reports, are frequently the most damaging to individual and societal well-being. To truly grasp the impact of rising prices, we must acknowledge the complex mechanisms driving them. These are not simple, singular causes, but multifaceted challenges, often including supply chain disruptions that ripple through global markets. Understanding these systemic issues is crucial. Global economic contributions, such as increased production costs and shifts in international trade dynamics, are key contributors to rising prices. These vast, interconnected forces dictate the daily realities faced by billions. The individual consumer often feels like a passenger in a powerful, uncontrollable current. For most people, budgeting transforms from a periodic exercise into a constant, exhausting practice of constraint and scrutiny. Every potential purchase is weighed, every expenditure is meticulously justified. This continuous evaluation demands immense mental energy. This incessant vigilance over every financial decision leads to profound mental exhaustion. The peace of mind once afforded by a predictable cost of living is replaced by a constant internal dialogue of financial calculation and worry. It is a drain on cognitive resources. Rising prices intensify the foundational fear of unemployment. The pressure to maintain financial stability becomes paramount, making job security not just a preference, but an urgent necessity. The stakes in the workplace rise dramatically for everyone. This creates a palpable sense of powerlessness, as career prospects can feel increasingly precarious. The perceived ability to improve one's financial standing diminishes, fostering a feeling of being trapped by external economic forces beyond individual control. Beyond basic needs, the cost of essential services, notably medical care, becomes a significant burden. Prescriptions, doctor visits, and preventative care frequently become luxuries rather than accessible necessities for many families. This directly impacts health outcomes. This overwhelming financial burden can directly lead to delayed or foregone medical care. The consequence is often poorer health outcomes for individuals and families, illustrating a cruel trade-off between financial solvency and physical well-being. The long-term costs here are immeasurable. Inflation is a silent thief of future prospects, systematically eroding savings and diminishing the value of accumulated wealth. The hard-earned security of past efforts dwindles, making future planning increasingly difficult and uncertain. The retirement envisioned yesterday may be unattainable tomorrow. This creates a profound sense of financial insecurity, often culminating in feelings of hopelessness about one's future. The traditional pathways to upward mobility and prosperity appear blocked, fostering widespread disillusionment, particularly among younger generations. Financial stress, often pervasive and chronic, can severely strain social interactions and relationships. Tensions arise within families, among friends, and between partners. Money, or the lack of it, becomes a constant point of friction. This financial pressure can lead to conflict, social isolation, and an overwhelming need to maintain appearances despite severe struggles. People might withdraw to hide their difficulties, further eroding social connections and trust. A facade of normalcy often conceals deep anxieties. Too often, public discourse relies on surface-level assumptions about economic hardship, failing to capture the true depth of the problem. These simplistic views frequently miss the systemic nature of the challenges and their profound human cost. They offer comfort, but little insight. Critically, blaming individuals for their financial struggles, a common narrative, entirely ignores the powerful systemic forces at play. This victim blaming deflects attention from structural issues that contribute to widespread economic precarity. It is a convenient, yet inaccurate simplification. The consequence of such blame is often devastating. Feelings of shame and profound inadequacy among those most affected. This undeserved self-reproach compounds their distress, hindering their ability to seek help or find solutions. It is a cruel psychological trap. The long-term implication of eroded financial stability is a significant decline in overall mental health across populations. This is not merely individual misfortune, but a societal mental health crisis, fueled by pervasive economic anxiety. The consequences are far-reaching. Furthermore, this erosion of financial well-being contributes directly to a decline in social cohesion within communities. Shared struggles can foster unity, but chronic, isolating financial pressure can fragment societies, eroding trust and collective action. People become more guarded. Therefore, stressing the essential need for individuals and societies to find ways to cope and adapt to these pressures becomes paramount. Resilience is not an innate quality, but a learned response, requiring both personal effort and systemic support. It is a survival skill in the modern age. The psychological impact of rising prices must be understood within the broader context of constant economic pressures defining the modern world. This is not an isolated phenomenon, but an integral part of our current global economic landscape. It is a defining feature of our time. This impact is a symptom of a larger, often demanding economic system that demands constant adaptation from its participants. It is a system that rewards flexibility, but often punishes vulnerability. The human cost of this system is seldom fully accounted for. The central challenge before us, then, is to recognize these invisible costs associated with rising prices. They are real, pervasive, and profoundly affect human well-being. Acknowledging them is the first step towards meaningful change. We must move beyond simplistic explanations and acknowledge the profound psychological consequences of persistent inflation. This requires a deeper, more empathetic understanding that goes beyond economic indicators alone. Human experience cannot be reduced to statistics. Therefore, the imperative is clear. We must address the root causes of inflation and its pervasive psychological toll. This demands comprehensive strategies that prioritize human well-being alongside economic stability. It requires foresight and courage. The ultimate goal of understanding these complex dynamics is to build a more resilient society, one capable of navigating economic challenges with greater human well-being, fostering environments where individuals can thrive, not just survive, amidst economic flux. This is the true measure of progress.